Have you ever wanted to see what happens when you use a $50,000 projector with a $15 projector screen? Well, here today in this video, I'm going to do exactly that. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Matt and this is Secondhand Home Theater. And today we are taking a $50,000 home theater projector and pairing it with a $15 projector screen and kind of decide whether or not this is a viable option for your home theater setup. So without any more waiting around, let's get right into the video. Okay, so before we get into the actual meat and potatoes of the video here today, and before we unbox or unbag this projector screen here, the one I got from Temu, I want to quickly mention why I'm doing this video. The first one is to see if a $15 Temu projector screen such as this is a viable option in your home theater setup for someone on a budget. And the second reason is I really wanted to get the biggest screen I could get possible. This is 150 inches, and put it here in my home theater and just see realistically how big of a projector screen I could get before it starts to get like eye strainy and starts to cut into other people's heads and stuff that are here and block out the image. So I wanted to do that as cheaply as possible. And so for $15 to get a 150-inch screen, I figured, why not? We'll take a look and see how big of a screen I could realistically put in here. So with that out of the way, let's actually open up this package here. Now, like I said, I got this off of Temu. This is a $15 150-inch projector screen, and I paid my own money for it. This is not a sponsored video. And what we should have in here before I open it up, we should have the projector screen, the actual material, the screen itself, and we should have a set of 3M styled hooks that you can stick on the wall with adhesive to hook onto the screen, because the screen should have grommets on it. So here we go. I've not opened this yet, and I'm going to be careful not to rip the actual material underneath. Okay, so we're back. I picked up the projector screen. The screen literally, when I opened it, flew out like a torpedo out of the top of the package. I couldn't have planned that if I wanted to. Anyways, so here's the screen. It comes in just a little baggie right here. And here are, yep, they're actual 3M hooks. Like I said, 3M hooks, you might be able to see those. I'm not going to use those for the video today because although these are legit 3M hooks, I am always a little skeptical about these pulling paint off the wall. So I don't think I'm going to use those here today. But anyways, here is the projector screen itself. It is not a very heavy duty material. And one thing that I think may happen is, especially with my HT 5000 projector, which puts out, even in its lowest setting, somewhere between 1300 and 1500 lumens, I'm thinking we may actually have see-through on this, that this may actually not be thick enough to prevent the lumens from penetrating through the screen and to see what's behind, on the wall. I may be surprised, pleasantly surprised about that, but we'll see. But I'm guessing this might be a little bit see-through with my projectors, especially the HT 5000, but we'll see what happens. Anyways, you will also notice this is just folded in here, so there are some wrinkles and some creases in the actual material. You may not be able to see it from that far away, but up close you probably can. Yeah, so I don't know, and there's some dirt on here too, which isn't nice. But anyways, yeah, this is a $15 screen, and like I said, there are some grommets in this little kind of like stripping here, border on the side, but it's just a single-sided white material. And I believe, it doesn't say in the package, but I believe if I look online, this is like a polyester rayon kind of material. I don't believe it's spandex. It has a very slight kind of give, but it's not stretchy like spandex, which is the material I have on my screen right now. So yeah, so this is kind of what we got here. I will put it up in just a second. So what we're going to do now is we're going to cut just briefly. I'm going to take down my DIY projector screen that's up on the wall back there. That won't be too hard. It's very lightweight, just made with some 1x2s and the screen material. So I'm going to take that down. We'll sit it off to the side, out of the way. And then I will put up this 150-inch projector screen, probably with just some thumbtacks on the wall. We'll kind of see how much space it actually takes up, how big it actually is. I may even measure it to see if it's actually 150 inches. And then we will play some content on there. We'll use my Sim2 Miko to start with, and then we'll kind of transition over, play the same content with my HT5000, and we will see what everything looks like. And I'll give you my kind of thoughts and opinions on that. And then one other thing we are going to do after that, just as a test and to kind of see how this would work in an actual dedicated home theater setup, is after we do the initial material test, I'm going to take a piece of spandex material that's black, just extra material that I've purchased from Joann Fabrics. I actually bought a lot of that recently since they're going out of business. So I have a roll of a couple yards of the black spandex material that they had available. I bought it for like 60 or 70% off recently. And I'm going to put that behind the projector screen. And we're going to see if that improves the contrast ratio and, you know, provide just a better image, and see if that is a viable option to make like a DIY home theater screen. So anyways, that's enough rambling. So let's cut very quickly, and I will have my other screen, my main screen here, taken down, and we will have this screen put up, and then we'll take a look at some content, and I'll give you my thoughts and opinions on it. So yeah, let's cut briefly, and we'll be back here in just a second. All right, everybody, we have my DIY screen taken down, and we have the Team Moose screen put up. And the thing that jumped out to me immediately, that was apparent from the moment I opened it up and actually put it up here, this is not a 150-inch projector screen. If you can tell, the ends of the screen only go to about here, which is about the midpoint of my left and right speakers, right here. So this is probably maybe 100 inches. And my screen, my DIY screen, if you can see the frame, is 115. Because of that, I cannot make this taunt down in the corners because it doesn't reach down to the bottom part of my little frame that I have here for my DIY screen. So that's the first thing that's readily kind of apparent here, is that this is the wrong size. So in a future update video down the road, I will let you know how the customer service works for this, to see about potentially doing a return on something like this or an exchange for the correct size. We'll see how that works. But for the purposes of what we're doing here today, because I have everything set up to do it, we can still look and see how good the quality, I guess, is of something like this. The screen isn't terrible. Like, it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. It is a little see-through if you really press up against the rear of the material here, because there's no black like lining behind it. But it's really not as bad as I thought it would be. The one thing you will notice once I turn the lights off and we play some content here, the material, since it was folded in the package, there is a ton of creases and wrinkles and lines just in the image, which you probably would not get with some higher quality material from a more dedicated material like dealer, or actual home theater like screen, projector screen material like dealer. If you got it that way, it would probably come rolled in a tube, or at least you would have an option to select that as a shipping option. And if it's rolled, chances are you're not going to have all these like creases and stuff. And especially if you get like a spandex material, even if it is kind of folded, that material is much more like stretchy than what this is. So you probably could stretch those creases and wrinkles out. But on this, you can't. So I'm gonna cross in front of the camera here and grab my remote. I will also turn off my lights here in the home theater here in just a second, and we will play some content from my Spears and Munsell demo disc, because I don't believe any of this stuff is copyright material. So we'll kind of lower the volume for 1 second while I use the Amazon AI here, and then we will play some content. Okay, so now I've got the lights turned off, and we are going to check out our demo content here. This is going to be off the Spears and Munsell DVD. We're going to look at Big Buck Bunny, DTS Living World a little bit, maybe a little bit of the montage. I don't know. I don't want this to run on too long. But we're going to start with the Sim2 Miko. That is the projector that I have on right at the moment. And then we will switch over to the HT5000. So I think immediately, now I don't have the audio turned on just because I don't want it to drown out me trying to talk here. But you can probably tell on the image, you can see tons of creasing through the material. You can definitely see that. There's a lot of creasing, a lot of lines and folds in the material here, which if you could stretch this out or maybe even like iron it or steam it or something to actually get these creases out, I think, you know, you could do that. That's more work than I'm going to put in for this. But I am actually quite surprised at how decent the quality actually is. I mean, there's quite a bit of detail there. I mean, obviously your projector and your source kind of play into this as well a little bit. But it's not too bad. There are some imperfections here. There are some like very small, I don't know, like rips or like stretch marks in the material right here in a few different spots that are popping up outside of the wrinkles. But really, this is not too bad. You mainly see, like, I don't want to just keep like bringing it up, but you can mainly see the wrinkles. But the actual weaving of the material isn't too bad. There's a little bit of like some dirt and stuff on here as well. But yeah, so like, yeah, it's not that terrible. There's definitely way worse out there. So yeah, so this is Big Buck Bunny. Let me walk over here and I'm going to go back to the menu and we will play DTS Living World, which is more dark scene content. And then after this, we will turn off the Miko and we'll kind of do the same two things with the HT5000. And for you guys who may not have seen my previous content, my Sim2 Miko is an LED-based DLP projector. I will have a standalone video on that coming up soon. But it peaks at about 1,000 lumens with its upgraded LEDs that are on there. So it's not super bright in compared to a lot of modern projectors. But it is a very expensive projector from when it first came out. Its original MSRP was about $25,000 at the time. Granted, that was back in like 2009. But that one's about a $25,000 projector. So that wasn't too bad. That wasn't too bad at all. Like I said, you can really pick out all the wrinkles and stuff like that. So, okay, I'm going to turn off the Miko and we are going to turn on the HT5000 and see how much different it looks. And we'll see if the HT5000 with its increased lumens, if that will kind of push through the material and if we're going to see some stuff behind it. So we'll see how that goes. So hang on, we're going to cut for a second and then we will have the HT5000 on and projected onto the screen. Okay, we now have the HT5000 up on the screen. And one thing you may notice immediately, just as a side note while we're talking about it, the color saturation may look a little bit different on the image. And that has nothing to do with settings that I've put on the camera. I'm using the same settings across the board for all the little demos we're doing here. But the reason for that is the light source. The Miko, because it has LEDs, a red, a green, and a blue LED, for its base like light source that produces the colors. It doesn't use a color wheel or anything like that. It's not lamp-based, it's those LEDs that generate color. The colors are way more saturated on the LED-based Miko, where this, the Sim2 HT5000, is a lamp-based projector, but it is a 3-chip DLP, so it has 3 chips, one for each of the primary colors. It is a lamp-based projector. So if you look, the saturation is slightly different. This probably looks a little bit less saturated than what the Miko look like. Just as a side note, just as a small, you know, little whatever there. But let's click, we will do Big Buck Bunny real quick for a minute or so. We'll take a look at how this looks. I am interested to see if this forces the light, because it is so much brighter, to kind of go through the screen. That is, as you can probably tell, that is way, way brighter. And honestly with this, with the HT5000, you can actually see, it's kind of hard at that distance. I may have to take some close-up footage, but you can definitely see the weaving here. on the material. And while we're playing this, again, just for those of you who may not have watched my previous content, the HT5000 is also from Sim2. It's a lamp-based projector instead of LED-based, but it is way bigger, way heavier, and held a much more substantial MSRP when it came out. It came out around the same time, about 2009, 2010, in that kind of time frame. And it was about $54,000 or $55,000 when that projector first came out. So it is really a true cinemaphile enthusiast level projector. This projector really could be used to fill an actual small commercial theater if you really wanted to, like a smaller, like micro-sized theater with, you know, maybe like 20 to 30 or 40 seats in it or something like that. You could definitely get away with this projector for that. But anyways, yeah, so you can definitely tell on the footage there, it's probably even a little bit blown out. I probably even need to lower the ISO a little bit on the quality here on the camera, just because it is so much brighter. But you can definitely tell, again, I know I've said it a bunch of times, the wrinkles and everything are just super apparent, especially with this. You can just see every little wrinkle and everything that's in the image here. So, okay, so we'll walk over. I'm going to stop this, and then we'll do the DTS Living World real quick. And then we will kind of do my other experiment where I'm going to put up a black piece of spandex behind it and see how it looks, see if that improves the contrast or anything. Okay, so this is DTS Living World. It is darker scene content, and again, you can see, I'm just going to keep saying it over and over, you can definitely see all the wrinkles. So that is the biggest issue with this screen right here, is you would have to really stretch it and kind of get those wrinkles out, or like steam it, iron it, whatever. But really overall, so far, through doing these two little tests, the image quality is actually not too bad outside of the wrinkles. And really the HT5000, since it is a much brighter projector, you can see, maybe not from a distance, I mean you can see a little bit from a distance, but you can definitely, if you get up close, see all the pattern weave in the actual screen material. So, all right, that is going to conclude this part of the video, and we will cut one more time. You'll see another small little transition. Maybe an ad break will pop in here. I don't know. We'll see how YouTube does it with their new AI ad breaks. But we will now put up a piece of black spandex behind the screen, and we'll kind of run very quickly through another couple demos. I may just use the HT5000. I may not even bother with the Miko. But we'll see, in my opinion, how things look with a black material behind it, you know, to see if that improves kind of the image quality. So, all right, we're going to break here. It'll probably fade out for a second. Like I said, maybe you'll get an ad break, and then we'll be back to take a look at this screen with some black spandex behind it. So stay tuned in just a minute. Okay, so real quick, before I turn the lights off, you might be able to see now I put some black spandex material behind this. This is just spandex material I picked up from Joann Fabric, and it's kind of hanging down here a little bit. Let me see if I can adjust that. I guess that's not that big a deal. That doesn't really matter all that much. But anyways, so I have that behind here. So now I'm going to turn the lights off, and we will see if this looks any better on the image, if this improves the contrast ratio or anything like that. So let's click DTS Living World one more time, which this is really where it should improve because of the black levels, dark scene content. Yeah, definitely the black levels are improved by doing that. And I think it's because this material is so thin. Having a black kind of material behind it does help improve the color and the contrast ratio. It may or may not be apparent in the video. I don't really know. I guess as I'm editing, we'll find out, you know, how much this actually looks different. But here in person, there is a noticeable difference in terms of the saturation and just the overall black levels as it like fades to black here. Yeah, there's a noticeable black level difference there. Real quick, we'll just go back up to Big Buck Bunny for a second. See some bright scene content. I don't anticipate this will change all that much. But yeah, even doing like this, kind of pulling up the back where you can see down in the corner, it does just look a little more saturated and just a little more colorful, a little more rich on the colors when you have that black backing. So yeah, this doesn't look bad. It actually has improved a little bit with the wrinkles. I'm sure once we go, in the Big Bug Bunny here walks out of his little sleeping place, I'm sure once you get the light behind him, it'll probably be a little more apparent, but it does help with the wrinkles a little bit. Yeah, once it starts to get bright, you can see them again. So, all right, we're gonna stop this right here. Turn the light on real quick. Hopefully you can see me. So to wrap this video up, since we're gonna probably end it here, what are my thoughts, I guess, on this material? So you're taking a gamble, I think, on the sizing because they sent me the wrong size. So provided you can get the correct size that you want to purchase for something like this, this isn't, in my opinion, a terrible option. Is this as high quality as a dedicated home theater screen that you would buy, say, from Seymour or somewhere like that, even Elite Screens? Probably not. For $15, probably not. You're not going to get that kind of quality here. You're probably not going to get even as good a quality as just going to Joann, before they go out of business, or just going on like Spandex World or somewhere and just buying a couple yards of a black spandex and a white spandex and kind of building your own screen, or like I said, buying kind of your own projector screen, just proper from one of the major distributors. But for $15, and maybe you could even double that and say maybe for like $30, if you could get some black spandex material like I have here to put behind it, if you could get that, and get the correct size, like for me, 150-inch screen that you could maybe steam or iron or wash and dry and try and like get all the wrinkles out of it, and you had enough to like stretch the material out after it's been like washed and dried and maybe steamed or ironed to try and get those wrinkles out, this really wouldn't be a terrible, like, low budget solution for a projector screen. Now, again, at that price, if you're going to go the DIY kind of screen route where you're going to build a frame, you might be better off just buying spandex from Spandex World, Joann fabric, or the actual material from like a Seymour Screens or Elite Screens or something, and get something that's more of a dedicated theater screen material than buying something like this. But if you were really on a budget and you wanted to buy this, and you could buy some of this black fabric from like a Joann Fabrics, because I only spent like $10 on, I think this is like 3 or 4 yards of this black fabric, and you got the actual like proper 150-inch screen, you could easily make a screen size anywhere from like the 115-inch that I have here up to, nearly 150 inches. And you could probably just stretch the material out after, like I said, steaming it, cleaning it, whatever, trying to get the wrinkles out. And it would probably be a pretty effective low budget screen for your home theater. But like I said, I don't think it's going to overtake or outdo some of the higher quality materials, but you're paying like a fraction of the cost at that point. So anyways, that's going to wrap this video up. Hopefully this was somewhat informative, somewhat entertaining when the screen decided to shoot out like a torpedo out of the package. Yeah, so hopefully you guys enjoy this. This is a little bit different. I've not really done something like this in quite a while here on my channel. So with that, I'm going to say thank you to everyone out there for watching my videos, subscribing, liking, leaving comments down below. I really do appreciate it. And I will see you the next time in the next video right here on Secondhand Home Theater. And I'll see you then. Thank you.